Now on to verse 24. Therefore God gave them up to vile impurity and the lusts of their hearts, so that their bodies would be dishonored among them. Remember that contextually we are looking at the progression of mankind's unrighteousness, and this is one of those particular verses that many do not like to touch because of what it says. It doesn't imply this, it says it. In response to mankind's original sin, the replacing of God with what humans justify to themselves as being better than He, God, in a very real sense, steps away. Not in the sense that a deist, for example, might argue, but the language of Scripture is that God gave them up. In Greek, this is paradoken. He hands them over to, He gives them over to their own desires. At the end of the day, no matter how angrily a human rages against his Creator, God's response is going to be something like, look, you got to do what you wanted to do. We lie in the bed we make. And I know that I'm moving ahead contextually and sort of breaking my own rules for how to read the Bible for just a second. But what I hope you begin to see as we continue reading is just how subversive the gospel really is. Because it's not something we work for. It's something that's just believed. It's taken in faith. The world turns on its selfish wants and desires, and it's like God says, go right ahead, see where it gets you, and when you're done thinking you know better, stop trying to do it yourself and believe this gospel. And that's, of course, a very poor paraphrase on my part, but that is the idea that Paul is building toward. You cannot have a complete understanding of God without this part of Him as well, which we see on display throughout the Old Testament especially. That is the aorist tense, which we've talked about here coming into play. And by the way, you will see sometimes and hear the logic floating around that the God of the Old Testament is different from the God of the New Testament, and that they behave differently to the extent that they must be different individuals. Verses like this one, and especially the usage of the tense, should honestly annihilate those ideas. The hermeneutical gymnastics you will have to perform to convince someone who reads the Bible plainly that there is no consistency between the character of God in the Testaments, let's just say it's substantial. So those are some of my own thoughts on this admittedly hard verse. That, if you detach from the Old Testament, is actually hard to see. But we'll continue with verse 25 in the next video.